remember, patience, motivation, longevity. This isn't a sprint. It's a nice waltz. Consistency, and we'll get there. The next thing I want to talk about is something that I call, and there's no substitute for the hustle. Now, I found this here particular point on coleclassroom.com is where I found this here. And in that, they're talking about how you have to be willing to do, not necessarily whatever it takes, but you have to be willing to get out there and put the work in. Reason why we fail, we have the idea and the dream of starting a photography business, but what ends up happening when it comes down to putting the work in, we don't want to put the work in. We want it easy. And sometimes it doesn't come that easy. Yeah, we hear the dreams. How, again, I made $100,000 within the first year of opening my business. But if we don't have the hustle and we don't get out there and put that work in, it's not going to happen. You got to have the motivation and the willingness to do what it takes. Not whatever it takes, but what it takes. And that means, I'll be honest, I haven't read my camera's owner's manual from cover to cover. I hear a lot of photographers say, hey, you need to read your owner's manual cover to cover so you really understand your camera. That's some more work that I know I have to put in. But also, we have to know that it's motivation is really what will, in that hustle piece, is what separates successful businesses from those that fail. There's a direct correlation, because if we're not motivated, we'll give up easily. And that's where the failure comes in. But if you have a dream and this is really something that you're passionate about, you focus on what's important to you. All right? And if this is really important to you, that's where your focus will be. But you can't lose sight of responsibilities to get to where you have to go to, right? You're trying to build a business. You can't lose sight of that, but you have to stay focused on that which is important. You have to be willing to hustle. And again, some people are born with it, some people aren't, but this is a business where you have to hustle. You got to go out there. You have to be willing to do what you need, whatever it takes to get you to the next part. Be that business that makes it past that third year. Be that business that makes it into that 15% percentile that is still going forward, that is still hanging on, that is still waiting. Because if you hold on, I can't guarantee you much of anything, right? No one can, but I do believe if you hold on, we have, just by being who we are, we have the ability to make our dreams come true by hanging in there. You never know what would have been tomorrow if you would just wait until tomorrow. But don't quit, because tomorrow hasn't gotten here yet, but I do believe that there is a way to get to where you want to be coming tomorrow. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is times we're not being unique. And you know, they talk about that word, your niche. I'm old school, your niche. You know, whatever you want to call it, your niche, your niche. But I was always so used to hear it being called, you know, what's your niche? Okay, but we'll go, since we're in 2020, almost 2025. As a matter of fact, by the time this video comes out, it might be 2025, I don't know. But whatever your niche is, not being unique. But what I also titled this here, and what I found out is, don't follow the herd. Find a way to stand out. So maybe that is what the whole niche part is. But let's dissect this a little bit. Now, be unique, don't follow the herd, find a way to stand out. If we just assimilate into the masses, now we're gonna look like everybody else. So that's one of the reasons I think also that businesses fail. You're just common. It's like just going to get a basic cheeseburger with meat and bun on it. There's nothing special about it. We want to now there's some basic ingredients, right? You have the bun, the cheese, and then whatever the condiments are. basic cheeseburger. But there are some cheeseburgers that stand out above the rest, right? Because maybe the way they prepare the meat, a little different. Maybe the cheese they use, a little different. Maybe they add in a little more something to it, a special sauce to it, and it makes it stand out. Following the herd is, I'm gonna do it exactly the same way everyone else does it. But I'm gonna do something a little different so I stand out. But I have to follow, because I don't want to be too far out there, right? Because I still want to be seen as, okay, this is someone I can identify with. But if we're too extreme, unless you know specifically someone is looking for that look, that's great. But you want to find a way to just stand out from the crowd. But here's the thing. Everyone is unique. I have a saying that photography is like a fingerprint. No one has the same fingerprint. Every photographer doesn't have the same signature, same print. We all do stuff differently. So in a sense, just by default, we're all different to that degree. We all process, we all see, we can take the same picture, go home, process it. There's gonna be some differences in what we do. But guess what? There's an audience for you based on what you do, based on your likes. There's some standards that we have when we develop. There's standards that as humans that we see things that we say, I like the way this look, I recognize this. But at the end of the day, we want to make sure that we're still separating ourselves enough to stand out. Be yourself. Everybody else is already taken. So be yourself. You do you, be the best you can be, and you will find that client will reach out to you based on what you're doing. If you're doing it like somebody else, they can say, well, you're just like this person. You're just like that person. But be yourself. Don't try to follow. And it's great to have motivation. It's great to have a style that you like and say, this person is shooting this way. Sue Bryce, who I love her work. I had the opportunity to go to, I met her at WPPI. Here's a picture of she and I right here. I also had a chance at WPPI to see and meet Lindsay Adler. Here's her picture right here. These are some of the people who I love the work. What Lindsay does with lighting, amazing. She is a master with lighting. I've been looking at trying to go to attend one of her presentations at her studio. I also, earlier this year, went out to Arizona, where I was actually at Sue Bryce's studio and got to sit there a couple hours with her as she went through a training course. And that was great. Here's a picture right here of that group. That was great. But you have to do what you can to stand out, and you may emulate someone else's style to some degree, but at the end of the day, it will still be your particular style. And the next point I want to talk about is not putting in place the infrastructure that will support your business. Infrastructure is important. If you don't have some type of infrastructure, some type of process in place that will help sustain and automate, not always necessarily automate, but help sustain and run your business, you're setting yourself up for failure. If you don't have some type of billing, client, they call them funnels, some type of an intake program for them, invoicing, you need to have the infrastructure in place. Me personally, I have the infrastructure out the yin yang. It's set up, it's good to go, it's ready to go. So when I do get an inquiry, I use Honeybooks. It comes in the Honeybooks. It's all set up in there. I do online gallery through PicTime. Everything is set up for me. I can share files. Payments come in that way. So if a client, I can send an invoice. I can send automated emails. So the infrastructure is there to help manage your business and give you the sustainability as you're doing your day-to-day business ventures, okay? And then another point I want to bring up in this here is number 9, if you're keeping track, is failure to create content on a regular basis. You always hear about you have to post. I don't know how personally some of these YouTubers, I guess to some degree, I'm a pseudo YouTuber, how they say I put a video out every Tuesday. Maybe that's your full-time gig, but for me, it's just not gonna happen, not now anyway. But Instagram, Facebook, wherever you, on Threads, wherever you you share media, on your web page, if you're not putting and posting every day, sometimes you feel pressure, I'm not doing enough. But I found out this year that not everyone does it on a regular basis, but whatever your routine is, and Sue talks about it's better to have quality over quantity. So if you're not posting on a consistent basis, but when you do post, you want to have, quality over quantity, because it's better to have, and you probably heard this here as well, it's better to have a portfolio online with maybe 15 amazing photographs versus 50 so-so photographs. Those 15 will go a lot further than 50. So quality over quantity. So I was able to find this book right here, I Am My Brand by Kubi Spring. Great book. And, oh, you probably heard that noise. That's cool though. She talks about the whole point that, you are your brand. And that's what I ran from for so long. I thought my photographs, my Instagram, for the longest I didn't have Facebook. I thought all of that would be what people saw. But she makes a point that people are drawn to your brand because they have a connection with you. I recommend, if you get opportunity to pick this book up, I'll put it down in the description, the name and the author, so on and so forth as well, so you can look it up. I believe it is on Amazon. But she talks about Nikes, Jordans, and how people fell in love with Jordans because even though they didn't know Michael personally, but because they saw him on television, they related to him, they connected to him. So when the Jordans came out, there was already this connection of the brand, that it was already set up because they had a connection with Michael Jordan. Sue Bryce talks about it as well, and I'm sorry for name dropping, but she talked about as well how she didn't want to be the face of her brand. She figured it would be, let my work be it. But when she came from behind the camera to in front of the camera, her business took off because the personal connection people have with her. Photography business failed because we don't want to put ourselves in our brand. So that's one part. Also, stop hiding behind logos. Logos and web pages and things like that. That's not, people can't connect with that. They'll connect with the human connection. Matter of fact, I have a video I put out. My first video talked about the human connection. I'll put a link up here to that video. How I really came to an epiphany of understanding that people can't connect with my brand. They can't connect with my photography until I come from behind the camera to in front of the camera. And it's that human connection that's really important. Because at the end of the day, we still want to have a connection with people. That's why when we go out somewhere, your favorite restaurant, it's because that brand is that person, who you see at the counter. The server that comes and serves, brings your favorite entree. That's the connection. That's the brand that you really love. So that's the other thing, being connected with that. And defining your brand's promise is another big thing. So what I mean by that, in the book, I Am My Brand, she talks about that where, defining your brand promise. And what that basically is this. People who come to you, they need to know, so by doing business with you, how am I going to be treated? What am I going to get from that? How well are you going to connect with me? When ladies and gentlemen who, have the acquired taste and have the financial stability to do it, they go in Louis Vuitton, they go into Chanel, there's a certain level of brand promise, quality product. They're really taken care of when they're in the store, and that's that connection that people have. And until we get to a point where, as photographers, we're defining our brand and our brand promise, and we're educating our clients as far as this is what it's going to be. You know, when you come to me, this is the brand promise. You know, I'm going to deliver to you the most amazing photographs you've ever seen or had taken of yourself. You know, that's the brand promise, and you will be treated with you know, the utmost respect, and well, you will be felt like, you know, it's all about you. And that's why sometimes you go to these quick turn mini sessions. If you have a mini sessions, you know, that's cool. But the reason some photographers stay away from the mini sections is because the experience is what some people come for. Sue talks about that all the time, that, you know, she doesn't really get into these mini sections because she can't really deliver her brand promise in a 15-minute session. But you got this complete hair, makeup, and when the ladies and gentlemen, especially the ladies, come to have their whatever photographs taken with her, it's a whole experience that they're getting. And based on the experience, what do you do when you go somewhere and you really find out that, hey, this was great? You go back and you tell your friends. And the best way to market, one of the best ways of marketing, is that word of mouth. So that's part of the whole thing of the brand promise. So with that being said, the importance of that brand promise is that's where the buy-in comes from the potential client. When you explain, when you educate that person what it's going to be, and you deliver on that, that's where the buy-in comes from. And then they are ready to go out and tell the next person, And I've known some photographers, and I've heard them at WPPI, and I'm thinking I might be going to Imaging USA this year. No, next year, not sure yet. But they say that I don't even have to advertise anymore because I get so much word of mouth business because people have bought into the brand promise. So that, in a nutshell, is pretty much the 10 things that I've found has caused businesses to fail when we're not doing these things. So I hope some of these points will help you. If you've been on the fence kind of thinking I might close the doors, patience. You know, don't close the doors. Don't give up on your dreams. Don't give up on your passion. It will come to fruition. Just take time. Don't worry about the Cinderellas who've made $50,000 in the first year, $100,000 in the first year, $30,000 in the first year. Don't worry about them. You are in control of your own ship. And you'll get there if you hold on. If you like this content, hey, give me a thumbs up, comment down below. You know, as I always say, peace.